Hey guys, I was just thinking that I should make a YouTube video, considering how many thousands of videos I've watched over the years learning how to do stuff. And I felt after buying this mill that now is the time, considering there are several little things that I just think need to be said regarding the Norwood LM29v2. And at this time, they just released the LM30 right after I purchased mine, unfortunately. So this is my first video. Take it easy on me. If you have any suggestions, let me know. Maybe I should never do this again, but you could comment there too. Anyhow, I want to start off with the fact that building this thing takes forever. Me and a couple buddies put it together. It took us a while. I have a pretty good mechanical background. However, it took some work. I mean, there's so many bolts, and there are times where you want to bolt something down and you're not totally sure. The instructions overall are pretty good, but there are times where you tighten something down and then realize that you have to take it all apart and then put it back together. So that's kind of a hassle. What else? Guys, hey, one thing I wanted to mention is that they don't really talk about the moving of logs from your land and getting them on to the mill. That's the one part where I have probably made the biggest mistake. I have a tractor with a grapple, and I thought that that was going to be the end-all be-all. If you can see, I thought that was going to be the trick to placing logs on the mill, and it's great for picking them up and moving them. However, it's not like a fine movement sort of mechanic when you drop the logs. So what happened when I had a really, like, at least, had to be at least 30 inches sized pine I dropped on the track itself. It wasn't quite soft enough, and I ended up, let's see if you can see, bending the actual track. And that was just part of the learning aspect of learning how to run this mill. What I've done since is I still use the grapple to pick the logs up. However, once I've picked them up, I drop the log onto a chain and use the chain to hook to the grapple, wrap around the log, and then that way it seems like I'm able to more gently drop the log on the track without totally screwing things up. And in all honesty, the mill works great once you figure it out, but it takes a lot of time. Like, there's definitely a steep learning curve. I thought it was going to be more straightforward than it actually is. I really enjoy running it, but you have to be willing to ruin a few blades like I have in order to start getting the output that you want. So you can see that time it worked pretty good because it worked using the grapple and laying it on the track pretty good, because it's a small log. And I don't know, I've just noticed with the hydraulics, when you have an especially heavy item, the raising and lowering of the boom and the opening and closing of the clamps, it just is more of a herky motion, so you're more apt to dropping a lot of weight on the track unintentionally. Let me show you guys this. Another guy on YouTube explained this fairly well. Norwood doesn't explain it at all in their instruction booklet, and I even put a call to them and an email, I believe. No response. I guess it's because of the whole COVID thing, trying to be forgiving as far as their response time, but I see that it's ridiculous that they don't have a clear explanation of how to use this this measuring device. So check this out. So the orange is supposed to be the top of the log. So if you see here, okay, the blade's on top of the log, and that correlates to, what is it, 8 and just over 7/8. And so let's say that you are cutting, let's see, so the 6/4 scale is approximately 1.5, so 1.5 inches, right? The 6 to the quarter scale, 6 to 4 scale will cut 1.5 inch pieces of board, and it calculates blade width. So you're able to, for example, go from, so say I just finished a cut. Now I'm going to, I want to cut another board. Move this back. I'll just drop it down to the next 6 and just cut away. Now, in theory, it works pretty good, in theory. However, all they have, the measurements they have aren't for everybody. Like this is 1.5 inches. I think this is like an 1 7/8. This is 2 inches, 1 inch and 1/2 inch or something like that. If you want something else, you're out of luck. And the most inconvenient aspect of this is this. Why would they do that? That makes no sense. If you're gonna have to, every time you change logs, or if you want to switch measurements, say to go from inch to 2 inches, you have to get out your ratchet, undo this. Why would they not have something that's easy to tighten and loosen so you can adjust the blue tab? Makes no sense to me, considering how much thought they put into everything else. Yeah, I mean, maybe I'm missing something and you guys know better than me, but I couldn't find any good instructions. And honestly, I forget the name of the guy. I'll give him some credit if I can find his video. He explained it pretty good, but I just don't understand why they didn't put the effort in to explain to the customer how to use this thing. Another tip that I wanted to give you guys is adjusting the drip on your lubrication tank. So you'll turn this on. This is full bore, obviously. And you know, I saw someone made a video that says more water the better. I found that not to be the case, and the instructions confirm my suspicion. So they say just a trickle in instructions, so that means something like that. And I believe the reason being is, well, one, it's gonna, if you have it on like super like that, it's gonna get a buildup of wet sawdust right along where the blade is cutting. And then along with that, it builds up wet sawdust in like the actual saw mechanism. And guess what? It clogs up your dust chute, which is a nightmare to have to keep going back and cleaning out. So that's another lesson that I learned the hard way. All right, guys, here are the parts that I really wanted to show you. Let's see if you can see in here that wiring mechanism. Kind of hard to tell, but I had a lot of trouble figuring out which wires go where, even with the instructions. And so I'll show you the diagram that tech support sent me, and even that diagram was incorrect, because I mean the wires that they showed I didn't even have. So I had a buddy come over, we figured it out, and in all honesty, it was more or less trial and error. We got it working, but I just feel like tech support wasn't any help. They tried, but they didn't help with the actual wiring mechanism. Let's see here. Next, I want to show you the flanges and pulleys. So, all right. Let's see if I can show you here. So if you see this, you see how the blade doesn't go totally against the flange. That's how you want it. You don't want it lined up directly touching the end of the flange. Otherwise, when you put any pressure as you're milling, the blade will go up like that and you'll have a wave. I learned that the hard way. And then make sure these are really tightened down good. All right, guys, I wanted to show you another issue that is something you will have to overcome if you do not buy the ceramic pulley system, or what is it, I forget what they call it, but basically it's the ceramic blade guide. And so what you end up getting stock are these two pulleys, and they basically put slight downward pressure on the blade. This one's adjustable, but this is as far in as it can come, which is too bad, because as you can see, it's not quite close enough to this beam. And if your blade dulls or you're going too fast, it'll cause this blade to bend unnecessarily, and that's never a good thing. And another issue, which is even more, I would say, I mean, it still works fine, but it's a frustrating design flaw. So I wanted to finish this video with some takeaways. First off, I'm really happy I made the purchase I did. I really like my mill, and I enjoy running it when I do. And I love that it's American made. It seems like going forward, once the whole COVID-19 crisis dissipates, that tech support will get better, and it'll probably be easier to purchase blades. Right now, I'm still waiting after purchasing a box of blades. It's been weeks now, but it seems like that's a problem across the industry. It's not just Norwood. In fact, Wood Miser, I almost bought a Wood Miser, and the only thing that really made me purchase Norwood was it was a shorter lead time, and at that time it was 6 to 8 weeks. I don't know what it is now. When I called Wood Miser, it was 6 months lead time, and from what I understand, it's about a year now. Another thing I want to mention is that I'm a medical professional, and this is not what I do for a living. I solely purchased the mill to make my own lumber to build out here on my river property in Trinity County. It's for a hobby. The one thing I find interesting is that Norwood, their brochures are guided towards someone who intends to make money milling, which I don't know how. I mean, other than selling slabs locally, I don't see a big market for that, because from what I understand, to be able to sell lumber for building, you have to have it stamped and approved, which is just another another burden for someone trying to make a buck. Anyhow, I'm not really sure why Norwood, that's their main focus, is someone who's trying to start a business, but I feel that the LM29 or the LM30 are guided towards someone like me, a hobbyist who wants a good piece of equipment. One other thing I would like to mention, I realize that alcohol and chainsaws don't go together. However, if you're like me and sometimes logic and good decision making goes out the window, you will combine the two. Don't tell my wife. But anyhow, I was drinking beer one day. I mean, I was being careful as I'm running the mill. I mean, your hands, generally speaking, are far away from any moving parts. And as long as you're careful, it's very safe. However, after, you make one pass, you got your number, say 8.5 inches. You make your pass through the mill. Say you need to move the dogs. Okay, you drop the dogs. You remember, oh yeah, 8.5, right? And then, oh, I wanted 1.25 inches out of that log, right? Oh, okay. And then you have to raise the mill up above the last cut to make sure you don't catch on the way back. Oh, I forgot to turn off the water. Oh, and then by the time you get back, you have completely forgotten the number. And it is so obvious. That's what it is. I found it really interesting that out of all the things, the numbers, as soon as you have a few beers, your ability to retain the number that you need for the next cut diminishes very fast. And I do not recommend drinking with alcohol and saws combined. Definitely not firearms either. Let's see if there's any other good pieces of wisdom that I have. Pseudo wisdom. Honestly, it's just so much fun milling. I had no idea what I was getting into, and it's, say for example, I'm gonna build a lean-to woodshed over my mill, and I want to be able to park my tractor underneath it. I purchased a lean-to design plan, highly detailed. I think it was like 15 bucks or something. I'll post a picture of it, and then I'll post a link where I got it from. You know, it's great for someone like me who isn't a general contractor. And I bought the plan. It even gives all the different cuts, all the different lumber amounts, even down to the hardware. And so then I take that list and I go to the mill and I just cut what I want. I cut exactly to dimension what the plans require. To me, that is just awesome. And it's I don't know, it just adds to the whole process. And then at the end of the day, I mean, you're able to create something from start to finish that no one else around here is gonna have. And I think that as far as the romance, what I talked about earlier, that how Norwood wants, their owners to get in touch with their machine as they build it. I think I definitely agree with the aspect of milling your own wood and building your own architecture or building. That I think is, I totally agree with as far as being connected to what you build. Anyhow, I hope this isn't a terrible video, and I hope it's informational. Give me some tips. Maybe I'll upgrade my equipment, and I'll increase my safety measures for the rest of the world. All right, talk to you later, guys.